Someone is assuming that people judge you and think less of you when you tell them how you live. Someone is assuming that it's not safe. It's not safe to live in your car, to travel, to do car life. Okay, this is a very good assumption. Someone said, with all the food you keep in your car, do you ever deal with critters, like bugs or whatever? Hi, this is Katie. In today's video, I feel like I want my collar to be up because I think it's $19.99, but this side's not having it. Anyway, hi. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing an assumptions video, which I think I've done like once or twice in the past, where I asked you guys to assume things about me, basically, things that you assume about my life and my personality and things that I've done and stuff like that. And I think the one or two that I've done in the past were more personal. This one in particular is going to be about car life, living in a car and traveling around the country. And so I asked you guys a while ago, like probably a month or two ago, I asked you guys on Instagram to just tell me any assumptions that you have about me. And so I'm going to read them on my phone and then give you guys like brutally honest answers about assumptions about car life and how I live on the road. And so if you're excited about this video, I hope that you are. I'm excited about this video. I only glanced at a couple of the questions, but I'm sure they're juicy and I'm sure they're gonna get personal. And so I really hope that you're subscribed. And yeah, let's just get into this video. Okay, so the first assumption that I'm gonna answer is someone said that the person has poor hygiene. I'm sorry, I think it's the no running water part. Okay. I totally get that. I totally get that. A lot of you guys know that when I'm on the road, I don't shower very often. I just don't. I don't shower very often. Maybe every few days, you know, kind of depending where I am, how close I am to a gym or someone's house that I know or whatever. But still, most days I will take a baby wipe or something, kind of wipe down, reapply deodorant, stuff like that. But there are definitely ways to make it hygienic. You know, like I have a Planet Fitness membership where I can go to anyone in the country. And so it is feasible that I can wake up and go shower every morning, or that I can shower every night before I go to sleep if you're a night shower person. It is feasible that even if I don't do that, that I can go into a truck stop or a rest stop and rinse my face or wash my face in the morning, or even take a washcloth and just kind of like do a really quick little bathroom shower. It is possible to brush your teeth. It is possible to, you know, wash your hair, brush your hair, use dry shampoo, stuff like that, to wash your clothes, you know? And so I 100% understand why that's an assumption. And some people who live in a car probably are a little bit less hygienic than you might be when you live in a house. But if that's kind of something that you're worried about or a reason that might stop you from living on the road, there are definitely ways to work around that, especially if you get a gym membership. And also if you kind of like get over some embarrassment of brushing your teeth in the car, washing your face at a truck stop, stuff like that. All right, let's see. Someone assumes that bathroom issues are a roadblock. Maybe not in places like Manhattan, but in most places, public bathrooms are pretty easy to find. You know, you can kind of go into any Target, any Walmart, any TJ Maxx, any mall, any grocery store, any Marshalls, any bookstore, stuff like that. They all have public bathrooms. And then at night or even during the day, rest areas, truck stops, gas stations, and anything 24 hours. I'm sure there have been several times even where I've maybe really had to go to the bathroom and so I had to rush to go find a place. But that would happen if you're just out anyway. You know, if you're out and you're about to drive to Target and you realize you have to go to the bathroom, you also have to kind of rush to go find one. And so it's not much different than that. But just day to day, it's kind of a similar thing of like, you just can't really be embarrassed by that kind of stuff. I know a lot of people have like, maybe not a fear, but like an aversion to using public restrooms. If you're gonna live in a car, unless you have your own like proper toilet in like a van or a bus, sometimes they have toilets, unless you have one of those, or you get hotels every night or whatever, then you might just kind of have to get over that. I personally believe that a lot of aversions or fears we have about things like this, like, oh, I'm scared that I might be scared to sleep in the car, or I'm scared that I won't know how to eat healthy, or I'm scared that I won't find a bathroom. A lot of those kind of things, I feel like it's fear of the unknown for sure. It's fear of something different. But generally, once you do it a few times, you realize that it's a lot easier than you probably thought it was. So finding bathrooms, sometimes it's a little annoying or something, but the overwhelming majority of the time, it's totally fine. It's not really a big deal. So very good assumption. I think a lot of people think that finding a bathroom is like one of the harder parts of living in a car. And I've just never really seen that. You know, like gas stations have bathrooms. Sometimes they're gross, but most of the time they're not. So it's not really that big of a deal for me personally, finding bathrooms. Okay, someone is assuming they just straight up wrote the word boredom. I'm assuming that they're assuming that I'm bored a lot. I am one of those people who believes that being bored is only for boring people. That kind of idea. You know, like if you're bored, if it's every once in a while that you're bored because you're restless, you don't know what to do, that's different. But if you're bored all the time, I think that that just kind of means that you're not doing enough. you know? And so maybe find a hobby and work more, volunteer, you know, go do more stuff. And so sometimes I guess I feel bored, but sometimes I think that's more that I feel a little lonely. That, you know, maybe, yes, I can go out to eat, or I can work, or I can crochet, or I can do this, this, and this. But I think my version of feeling bored or whatever is that sometimes I want to go out to eat, but I want to do it with someone else. Or I want to, you know, do some work, but I want to work with someone else. Or I want to run to the store, but I want to do that with someone else. And so sometimes that's a version of boredom or loneliness or something that I get, where it's like, I kind of don't want to do anything right now because I wish I was with someone else. But again, when you're traveling, when you're living in a car, when you're really just doing any kind of lifestyle, sometimes we feel that way, but we have to get over it. Otherwise, we won't be like living like our true selves. You know what I mean? So yeah, I guess like sometimes it gets boring if you're by yourself on the road, but I just think that the world has like an unlimited amount of things that you can do. And so if you're bored, just, you know, go find a new hobby or call a friend or go to the bookstore or something like that. But sometimes it can get like that restless feeling of boredom where like I maybe wish I was doing something else with other people. So that's like not exactly what you're asking, but that's my answer. Someone assumes that you get to meet cool people. Yes, I think you can meet cool people anywhere, but I've definitely met a lot of cool people within my travels. And then when I meet other people who live in their car, who travel, who are on a road trip, I always feel like you have such, or at least in my experience, like when this has happened, I feel like there's just like an instant bond of like, you're doing car life, I'm doing car life. All right, cool. We already kind of know at least a little bit about each other, about the type of person that we might be. Obviously everyone's different, but there's just some underlying stuff of like, okay, so you're chasing freedom and or adventure and or just a different lifestyle and or you are, you know, not afraid to try new things and stuff like that. And so I really like meeting new people just in general, even who don't do car life. Obviously I love meeting just any new people, but then meeting car life people, which has happened several times, especially in Montana. I feel like I run into a lot of travelers in Bozeman and stuff. I don't know if that's like a hub for us or what, but yeah, I do meet a lot of cool people for sure. Someone is assuming that people judge you and think less of you when you tell them how you live. If I tell someone that I like traveling, that I like sleeping in a car, that I like doing car life, and they think less of me or make fun of me or talk negatively or laugh at me, they're just not my people. That's really what it is. I have definitely told some people and they're like, what? Or like, they're like, oh, LOL, wait, you're serious? Like stuff like that. Because some people have a hard time wrapping their head around people who do something drastically differently than them. You know, but I kind of love talking to all kinds of people who have all different kinds of lifestyles. So it is disappointing from just a global standpoint of let's not judge people who do something different. But I do run into that sometimes where people seem to maybe look down at me or they don't understand what I'm doing. That's okay. Some people aren't going to understand. That's okay. It doesn't hurt my feelings. But then, you know, I will meet people who think that it's cool or interesting or have questions. And then that's kind of where, you know, I realize that they might be more my people, just people who are open to other people's way of life, you know? And then a lot of people are just kind of neutral about it. And so that's really cool too, because I don't know, I just think that even if you don't understand something, that we should just still accept that people are going to be different. But yeah, that assumption is right, that some people definitely do think less of me, make fun of me for it, or just think it's weird, or just tell me just go get a house or something. And it's like, well, we're all different, you know? Like, it's okay. It's okay that we're all different. Okay, someone is assuming that the privacy is difficult. So definitely when you're gonna live in a car or do car life or live in a van or something like that, you definitely have to either already have this personality trait or learn it where you just don't really care about certain privacy things. You don't really get embarrassed very easily, you know? I have brushed my teeth in my car hundreds and hundreds of times. I don't care. I don't care if people see me. I don't care if people notice. I don't care if people watch me and they're like, what is that girl doing? I don't care. And then privacy, when you're sleeping at night, I cover all my windows. And so there's always like a tiny little, you know, crack here and there that someone could maybe peek through, but I never really worry about that. But yeah, so like in general during the day, privacy, I just kind of don't really care much. That I think just kind of depends on your personality. But I do recommend if you're gonna be living in a car to kind of just lessen your threshold of embarrassment. I do recommend that. Someone is assuming that it's not safe. It's not safe to live in your car, to travel, to do car life. I understand where that assumption comes from, but in my experience, I just don't really see that as truth. I personally think that anything can be unsafe. Anything. Walking out your front door can be unsafe. Walking upstairs can be unsafe. Going into a grocery store can be unsafe because you can slip and fall. There could be someone in there robbing you. There could be some sort of other accident. You know, almost anything that we do has a certain level of risk. And so it's just kind of up to you to do a risk assessment for how badly you want something, how badly you think it's right for you and that God wants it for you, and then kind of compare it to the risks that could happen to you. But if you're going to think about risks, you got to think about them really honestly and logically, you know, because I think a lot of people, and weirdly, I don't even think I got this assumption, but I have gotten the question or assumption before that people think that other people bother me all the time, or that cops knock on my window all the time. And that's just not true. It's happened a couple times, but it's only happened 3 or 4 times in the 9 years that I've done this. And I know I might be wrong, but it just kind of seems like some people, when they've never done something before and when it seems like it's out of the ordinary for anyone to do, that they just assume the worst. That they just kind of assume that it's scary, that it's dangerous, that it's hard, that it's uncomfortable, you know, that they assume kind of a lot of negative things. Like if you've noticed throughout this video, most of the assumptions are negative. I think there might be 1 or 2 in here that are positive. Most of them are negative. I think that a lot of people have negative assumptions, but a lot of them aren't true, even though it's easy to assume them, you know, and it's especially easy to assume them when it becomes kind of like a societal norm or like a societal opinion of, oh, living in your car is dangerous and no one should do it. And then the more that people say it, the more that people believe that that means it's true, when in reality it's still just an opinion, you know. And so even everything I'm saying in this video is still just my opinion. You know, you might go sleep in your car once and it might end up horribly, but I've slept in my car hundreds if not thousands of times, and I think I've only really had issues like 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 times where either someone knocked on my window or just I felt unsafe, maybe just feeling unsafe in other ways, maybe 10 times. You know, and so I think safety also kind of depends on your level of trusting yourself, your level of protection, research, and just how you prepare. You know, like make sure your doors are locked, make sure that you know where you're sleeping, that you kind of trust where you're sleeping, that you have some sort of protection near you, that, you know, you're doing upkeep on your car so your car's not going to break down, stuff like that. So that is a really good and very common assumption, but just with my experience, it hasn't really been very dangerous, or what was the exact word that you used? Not safe. So yeah, like I haven't really been in a lot of dangerous situations. But again, I think living in general, there's dangerous things that could happen anywhere. And so not doing something just because something bad might happen is going to ensure that you miss out on something good that could happen in that situation. So I understand why you think that, but I just haven't really felt that way personally. Okay, so someone said that they assume that storms might be scarier. If you're talking about physical storms, like thunder and lightning, not like mental storms. Physical storms, for me, are terrifying in the car, 100%. That assumption for me personally is 100% true. My car, I don't know if it's something specific with my car and my roof, but when it pours, like not when it drizzles, but like when it properly rains, it sounds like someone's like hitting pots and pans on my roof. It's very loud. It's very intense. It's very loud. It's very hard to sleep. I've only weirdly had to sleep when it's like a really like bad rainstorm only a few times. I don't know how that's even happened when I've slept in my car hundreds of times, but only a few times there were like a really heavy storm. I don't know if I would say it's scarier, because I just don't like storms in general, so I'm scared even when there's a storm in the house. But it is louder, more intense. For my car, it's just like pots and pans on the roof. I don't know. I don't get it. But that might depend on the car. So if you live in your car too, let me know if when it like storms at night, if it's really loud on your roof, because it might just be my roof. I don't know. But I really don't like storms when it's in the car, for sure. It's very loud, very intense. Okay, so going on that kind of idea of it being really loud when I sleep, someone is assuming that it's too noisy to sleep well. I really only find that it's hard to sleep because of how loud it is when it's storming out. I generally park at truck stops and rest areas, so there are a lot of other people around. And especially when I'm at truck stops, there's people, you know, going in and out of the store, there's people pumping gas, stuff like that. But I can sleep when there's noises around me, and I can sleep when there's lights and stuff. And so for me personally, the noise of just people driving and people walking around and stuff does not bother me whatsoever. The only noise that really bothers me when I sleep is when it's like storming out. Or there was one time that like there was a car near me, and like I think it was a couple and like some kids, and the couple was just yelling at each other, and they were very close to me, so that kind of made it a little uncomfortable. So I just left and went to another truck stop and it was fine. So there's only been very few times besides storms that sleeping was hard because something was loud. But that also depends on the person. Some people cannot deal with any light or any noise or anything when they're sleeping. I just can. Like, that stuff's fine with me. But if you can't, maybe get some earplugs or some like cute earmuffs. Okay, this is a very good assumption. Someone said, with all the food you keep in your car, do you ever deal with critters, like bugs or whatever? No. It's such a good assumption, but no. I keep a lot of food in my car, but almost all of it is sealed. Like when I have little packets of tuna and chicken and stuff like that, it's all sealed. But then I will still have open things of crackers, chips, and even sometimes candy and cookies. I have never dealt with critters, with bugs or anything except once. I had ants once in my car, but this was a very long time ago and I cannot even remember if I was even living in my car at the time. I don't remember if it was food related. I don't remember what was going on, but that was a very long time ago. I had a bunch of ants, which was gross to think about. But besides that, day to day, generally, I do have a bunch of food in my car. I have never dealt with, I mean, there's, you know, been a bug or two in the car just randomly throughout the years because that's just what bugs do. But in terms of like food and like dealing with bugs going after the food, I have never dealt with that. I don't know how. That it seems like I would have dealt with them, but I haven't. So good assumption, but nope. Someone assumes that it's hard to find somewhere to park and sleep. I generally sleep at truck stops and rest areas, and so it's not very hard generally, but definitely sometimes your assumption is right. Definitely sometimes. I either use apps on my phone or I will use road signs. Sometimes they'll say, you know, next rest stop in 30 miles or whatever. Or even I'll just Google, like, where are there rest stops on this route going in this direction? This is how I type, I guess. But then there are definitely, you know, like the Pilot Flying J app, the Loves app, or just even truck stop apps in general, where you can just look up where the next few truck stops are. And then when I get to the truck stops, I just make sure that there's no signs that kind of tell you no overnight parking. And so that's kind of the main difficulty when finding a place to sleep, is because there are some truck stops, rest areas, stuff like that, that either say, you know, 2-hour parking only. There have been some rest areas that I've been to that say like 6-hour parking only, which you might be able to get a decent amount of sleep, you know, if you park and you go right to sleep. And then, you know, some truck stops might say no overnight parking and stuff like that. But a lot of them don't have signs like that, and so you're totally safe. And so it's just something, you know, again, prepare yourself a little bit. And if that is something that worries you, maybe do the preparation earlier in the day, and so you can find some options, because it would be great, you know, if you stop in 20 miles and there's 2 truck stops just in case, you know, and then you also realize that there's another one 20 miles past that. So sometimes it definitely can be hard, but generally it's not. So the last one that I'm going to answer is that someone assumes that it's not for everyone. 100%. You are 100% right. I love car life. I love that I've gotten to see this country. I love that I've experienced such a different way of life in a way that I've wanted to and that I think God wanted me to, but it is definitely not for everyone. I think a lot of people would not like it. I think all these assumptions, I think people are assuming them because either they're afraid of these things. And like I said earlier, sometimes we have fear or confusion about something just because we haven't done it. But also on top of that, sometimes we have fear or discomfort or whatever, and then we do the thing and then we still just realize that we don't like it, and that's okay too, you know? So like car life is definitely not for everyone. I don't even think it's for the majority of people, but for the people that it is for, it's incredible, you know? And I still think that if it's something that you kind of have in your head, I think it's worth a shot. You know, maybe go for a week or something and just see how it is. Sometimes I think it might take longer than that to really grasp if you like it or not, but I still think it's just worth doing, you know, if you're interested in it. But it's definitely not for everyone. But just like a 9-to-5 is not for everyone, just like having children is not for everyone, it's definitely not for everyone. That assumption is 100% right. But the people that it's for, it is like definitely for. Yeah. Okay, I think that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed learning a little bit more about my opinions about car life. And if you've ever done car life, or you've slept in your car, or you've been on road trips, and you wanna answer any of these assumptions, I would love to hear your opinions in the comments, because we're all different. I know that all of our opinions are gonna be different. This video is just my opinions on it. But if you have any answers to some of these assumptions, I would love to hear them in the comments. And yeah, please make sure that you're subscribed. Please, 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 please. And yeah, again, comment if you want to answer any of these assumptions. I like doing these videos and I like talking about all this kind of stuff with you. And so I really hope that you enjoyed. And yeah, that's gonna be it. Thanks again for watching, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. I love you, Jesus loves you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.